Hello dear learners, welcome to this SWAYAM NPTEL online course on inclusive education. I am Dr. Umakant Prasad, an assistant professor from Department of Education, Vinaya Bhavan, Vishwabharati Shantiniketan. This is week 4 and today we are going to discuss lecture number 20, that is classroom management. During this lecture, we will discuss meaning and concept of inclusive classroom management as well as classroom management strategies for children with various disabilities. Inclusive education aims to ensure all students, regardless of their diverse needs or abilities, learn together in the same classroom. This approach brings a rich mix of learning styles, social, emotional needs and behavioral patterns. Because of this, effective classroom management is an inclusive setting is not about keeping order, but it is about creating a supportive and engaging environment where every student feels safe, respected and ready to learn. This involves moving beyond traditional discipline to embrace proactive strategies that recognize and respond to individual differences. Ultimately, well-managed inclusive classrooms are crucial for helping all students to succeed academically and socially. Understanding learning styles and diverse learners is important because through it we can consider how we learn, as we know that there are three main pathways of learning and our brain receives information primarily through these three channels, that is sight, sound and touch. The route that we prefer the most is often referred to as our dominant learning styles. Let us explore these three styles, that is visual, auditory and kinesthetic, and by taking three domains like key strength, learn best from and potential professionals. Visual style considered a strong visual memory and perception, and we can learn best from images, picture, graphs, maps and diagram as well as videos. And professionals considered under this style is graphic designers, photographers, architects and artists. As far as auditory style is considered, the key strengths are excellent auditory memory and perception, and it can be learned best from discussion, debates, lectures, audiobooks and music. However, professionals are considered, those might be counselor, broadcasters, musicians and public speakers. While kinesthetic style is considered, the key strengths are learning through physical activities, and it can be learned best from demonstrations, experiments and role plays as well as hands-on experience. While potential professionals considered under this style might be carpenters, athletes, physical therapists, mechanics, etc. Addressing diversity in the classroom is very vital because modern classrooms are vibrant spaces with a wide spectrum of learners. Depending upon a single teaching approach can disadvantage students with diverse learning needs. While each child has unique strength, traditional educational system often apply a uniform approach, particularly with rigid grade focused examination system. The role of the teacher is evolving from a teacher centric model to a student centric model one, recognizing the individual needs of each learner. This shift is supported by theories like Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, introduced in his 1983 book, that is Frames of Mind. Gardner proposed 8 distinct types of intelligence, highlighting that individuals can excel in various areas beyond traditional academic measures. This framework is particularly valuable in acknowledging and nurturing the strength of students with special needs, who often demonstrate exceptional abilities in one or more of these intelligences. Let us try to understand the classroom management strategies for various disability. At first, let us try to understand the classroom teaching learning management strategies for children with visual disability. Creating an inclusive and effective learning environment for students with visual impairment requires thoughtful planning and adaptable strategies. The goal is to ensure that they can access information, participate fully and demonstrate their understanding and knowledge. Optimizing the learning environment, that is strategic seating, always ensure that a student has a front row seat, ideally near the teacher's primary instruction area and the whiteboard or projector. This maximizes their ability to hear clearly and potentially utilizing any residual vision. Minimizing auditory distractions. Work to reduce background noise in the classroom is also necessary. A quieter environment help students with visual impairment to focus on auditory input, which is crucial for their learning. Enhancing communication and instruction. Direct and explicit verbalization. Always use students' names when addressing them, so they know you are talking to them. The important thing is to verbally describe all visual information presented, whether it is on the board, on the screen or in a handout. Clear voice and positioning. Face the class when speaking to ensure your voice carries effectively. Project your voice clearly and consistently. Integrate real objects and tactile aids. Whenever possible, use real objects that students can touch and explore. Supplement visual diagram with tactile graphs, maps and models to provide a multisensory understanding of the concepts. Providing accessible materials and technology. Multi-format materials like provide all learning materials in accessible formats as needed, including braille, large print, high contrast print or digital formats compatible with screen readers are required for visually impaired children. Integrate assistive technology. It encourages and facilitates the use of assistive technologies. This includes talking books, audio recorders, computers with screen readers, screen magnification software and braille note takers. A strategic use of visual elements. If the student has some residual vision, use high contrast, clear fonts and appropriate sizing for any written or displayed information. Thoughtfully apply color and texture to differentiate elements in visual aids. Adapting assignment and fostering support. Flexible assignments and assessments. Be prepared to modify assignments or offer alternative assessment methods that do not rely solely on visual input. This might include oral presentations, tactile projects or verbal responses to demonstrate comprehension. Cultivate peer support. Thoughtfully assign a peer helper who can provide assistance when needed, such as describing visual, guiding in unfamiliar environments or locating materials. This should be a supportive role that complements rather than replaces teacher's instruction. By implementing these guidelines, educator can create a truly inclusive classroom where students with visual impairment are empowered to learn effectively and achieve their full potential. Classroom management for hearing impaired students. The core objective is to facilitate comprehensive language, communication and concept development for students with hearing impairment. This involves integrating various strategies to ensure that they have full access to the curriculum and social interactions. Optimizing the classroom environment. A strategic seating and visual access. Arrangement of sitting in a circle or semicircle. This allows all students, including those with hearing impairment, to see each other and the speaker's face clearly. For example, during a class discussion, a student with hearing impairment positioned in a semicircle can easily see the teacher and their peers as they speak, facilitating lip reading and visual cues. Minimize background noise. Hard surfaces lead to sound reflection and can make it incredibly difficult for students with hearing impairment to differentiate speech. So, implementation strategies like adding carpets, acoustic panels or even tennis balls on the chair legs to reduce noise is essential. Closed doors and windows to block external distractions are also necessary. Optimal lighting. Ensure that the teacher's face is well lighted and not shadowed by windows or bright light behind them. Good lighting is crucial for lip reading and observing facial expressions. Utilizing assistive technology. FM system, frequency modulation system are highly effective for children with hearing impairment. The teacher wears a microphone and the student with hearing impairment wears a receivers often integrated with their hearing aid or cochlear implant. This sends the teacher's voice directly to the student's ear, overcoming distance and background noise. For instance, in a large classroom, an FM system ensures that the student hears the teacher's voice clearly regardless of where the teacher is standing. Sound field systems. These distribute the teacher's amplified voice through speakers around the room, benefiting all students, especially those with mild hearing loss or auditory processing challenges. Captioning and transcription services. For video content or lectures, providing real-time captioning or high-quality pre-recorded captions are required for the classroom management of children with hearing impairment. This allows a student to read what is being said. Similarly, speech-to-text applications on tablets or laptops can provide live transcripts during discussions. Enhancing communication strategies. Clear and concise spoken language such as slower, clearer speech. Speak at a slightly slower pace than usual, enunciating clearly but without exaggeration. Excessive lip movements can distort speech and make lip reading more difficult. Shorter sentences. Break down complex information into shorter, more manageable sentences. Face the student. Always face the student directly when speaking, avoiding speaking while writing on the board or facing away. Maintain eye contact to convey direct communication. Gain attention before speaking. A gentle tap on the shoulder or a wave or calling their names can ensure that the student is ready to receive information. Rephrase, don't just repeat. If a student does not understand, try reshaping the information using different words or simpler sentences or simpler sentence structures rather than repeating the exact same phrase. Visual supports and concrete learning, such as associate words with real objects and pictures. When introducing new terms or concepts, always pair the spoken words with actual objects, a clear picture or a visual representation. For example, when teaching about apple, show an actual apple or a clear image of apple. Use pictures, real objects, dramatization and activities. Engage multiple senses, dramatize scenarios, use gestures and incorporate hands-on activities to reinforce learning. Write key information on the board or chart. Crucial vocabulary, instructions and main points should be written clearly on the board or chart for visual reinforcement. This also helps with note taking. Provide outlines and notes in advance. Offering lecture outlines, key vocabulary or copies of representations before class or copies of presentations before class allows students to familiarize themselves with the content and focus on listening, lip reading during the lesson. Promoting inclusive social interaction, that is facilitating group work. A smaller group size, for example, organizing group activities with fewer members to reduce auditory clutter and allow the students with hearing impairment to more easily follow conversation is required. Turn taking reminders. Explicitly remind group members to take turns speaking and to ensure that a student with hearing impairment is looking at the speaker. For example, remember to look at a student's name when you are talking so they can follow along. Designated check-in person. In group work, a peer can be assigned to periodically check in with the student with hearing impairment to ensure understanding and facilitate participation. Developing communication skills through play. Structured play activities. Design play activities that encourages communication amongst children, such as role-playing scenarios or games that requires verbal interaction and visual cues. This helps all students to develop communication strategies. For example, playing a store where students have asked for specific items and respond to the question. Cultivating a peer support system, such as encourage communication strategies which guide all students to understand and adapt to communication styles of their peers with hearing impairment. This could involve teaching basic sign, understanding the importance of facing the speaker or waiting for attention before speaking. Buddy system. Pair students with hearing impairment with a peer who can offer support, clarify instruction or share notes. By implementing these comprehensive strategies, educators can create a truly inclusive and academically enriching environment where students with hearing impairment can develop strong communication skills and fully participate in all aspects of classroom life. Classroom management for students with physical disabilities. Accessibility in the physical environment is the foundation. Ensure clear barrier-free pathways for students who use wheelchair or other mobility devices is essential. This includes wide doorways, ramps where necessary and accessible restrooms within the classroom. Flexible seating arrangements are essential. Provide adjustable desks and chairs that can accommodate various heights and mobility needs. For instance, a student using a wheelchair might need a desk that is higher or has more leg room, while another student might benefit from a chair with back support. Empowering communication and learning. Varied modes of communication are important. For students who find traditional writing challenging, several options are available. For example, technology based solutions. Provide access to laptop, tablets or speech to text software for note taking and assignments. For example, a student with limited hand mobility could use voice detection to compose essays. Assistive tools which offer audio recorders for lectures, allowing students to review information at their own pace. Support personnel make scribes or note takers available for written work, tests and examinations. This ensures students can demonstrate their knowledge and skill without being hindered by physical limitations. Flexible assessment and deadlines are crucial for academic success. Granting additional time for completing assignments, tests and exams is common and effective accommodation. This acknowledges that some students may require more time due to physical exertion or the use of assistive technology. Considering offering alternative assessment formats such as oral presentations, projects or objective type questions such as multiple choice or true false questions with yes no answer, specifically if writing is a significant challenge. For example, instead of a written essay, a student could create a detailed multimedia presentation. Fostering a supportive community. Cultivating a welcoming and supporting environment is paramount. Conducting sensitivity training for all the students to foster empathy, understanding and a sense of shared responsibility is vital. This can be done through open discussions, age appropriate presentations or even inviting a guest speaker with a physical disability to share their experiences, encouraging peer support and collaborative groups work for various activities from academic to sports. For instance, a group project could be structured so that a student with physical disability can contribute their ideas verbally while peers assist with the physical aspect of the presentation. Enhancing learning strategies. Tailored teaching strategies can significantly enhance comprehension and engagement. For example, multi-sensory learning. For mathematics, utilize concrete objects, matching games, sorting activities and identification exercise. For example, using blocks to teach addition or subtraction can make abstract concept tangible. In language or arts, incorporate visual aids like written outlines, graphics and picture to support text. Providing audiobooks or digital books offers alternative reading formats. A peer reading aloud can also be highly beneficial. Reinforcement and feedback. Repeat instructions as needed and recheck understanding after students complete a few exercises. This ensures clarity and allows for immediate correction or clarification. Assistive writing tools. For students with fine motor challenges, provide modified pencils with large grips or other adaptive writing tools. Inclusive extracurricular activities. Plan alternatives for athletic and cultural activities to ensure all students can participate meaningfully. This does not mean excluding traditional activities, but rather finding ways to adapt them or offer diverse options. For example, if a student cannot participate in a running race, he or she might be involved in scorekeeping, cheering or participating in a adapted version of the activities. By implementing these strategies, educators can create a truly accessible and inclusive classrooms where students with physical disabilities can thrive academically and socially. Classroom management for teaching students with intellectual disabilities. Educating students with intellectual disabilities in an inclusive classroom setting requires a thoughtful and systematic approach. The focus is on making learning accessible, meaningful and engaging, fostering independence and growth. Core pedagogical principles and strategies for classroom management of children with intellectual disabilities are as follows: individualized engagement and participation. It involves the student actively in a class discussion and activities. Instead of just listening, give them specific roles. Facilitate their learning by providing appropriate prompts and support. Offer choices, break down instructions and provide visual cues. Making learning relevant. Relate class concepts to the student's personal life and experiences. This makes abstract ideas more real and meaningful. For example, when teaching about money, use real coins and bills and simulate a shopping scenario relevant to their daily life, like buying a snack. Move from simple to complex, concrete to abstract, and none to unknown, build understanding gradually. For example, to teach addition, start with counting real objects, then move to pictures, then numbers. Begin with adding numbers they already know before introducing new combinations. Teach from whole to part. Present the big picture or goal first, then break it down. For example, when teaching how to write a simple sentence, first show a complete sentence, then break it down into subject, verb and object, teaching each part. A structured instruction and reinforcement. Analyze tasks and each one step at a time. Break complex skill into smaller, manageable steps. For example, to teach hand washing, create a visual sequence. For example, to teach hand washing, create a visual sequence. For example, turn on water, wet hands, add soap, rub hands, rinse, dry hands. Teach and practice each step individually. Allow a student to ask questions and offer constructive feedbacks. Create a safe space for inquiry and self-expressions as well. Model how to ask questions and accept their contributions regardless of their form. Use appropriate and immediate reward to strengthen desired behaviors and skills. For example, if a student successfully completes a task, offer a specific phrase like great job, well done, etc., or a token they can exchange for a preferred activities. Stimulate further relevant discussion, guide conversations to keep the student engaged and connect new information. Help the students to generalize skill taught in one setting to other environments. Practice skill in various contexts to ensure transfer. For example, if a student learns to count money in the classroom, practice it in the school cafeteria or a simulated store setting. Ensure the students remains on task and minimize distractions. Use visual timers, clear work zones and consistent routines to help to maintain focus. Provide gentle redirection when needed. Current trends and best practices in inclusive classroom. Modern inclusive education strategies integrates research-based approaches and technology to meet the diverse learning needs of all the learners, including children with disabilities, such as individualized support and planning. Individualized education program, a legally mandated document outlining specific educational goals, services and accommodations for students with disabilities tailored to their unique needs. Differentiated instruction, that is tailored teaching methods, content and assessment to meet the diverse needs of all learners in the classroom is required for management of inclusive classroom. For example, for a lesson or animal habitats, some students might read a complex text, others a simpler one with pictures, and a student with intellectual disability might sort animal cutouts into habitat categories. Universal design for learning. It is universal design of learning, that is creating learning environments and materials that are accessible and engaging for all the learners from the outset. This means providing multiple means of representation. For example, how content is presented, action and expression, that considered how students show what they know, and engagement, that considered how students are motivated. Positive behavior intervention support, that considered a proactive school-wide framework for promoting positive behavior and preventing challenging behavior of children with disabilities. It focuses on teaching desired behaviors and providing consistent reinforcement. For example, a school-wide system of rewarding a student for following respectful, responsible and safe rules. Response to intervention. A multi-tier approach to providing early high quality instruction and interventions to students struggling academically or behaviorally before a special education diagnosis is considered. Technology interaction for enhanced learning. Computer aided technology such as multimedia and customized software use educational software, applications and interactive programs designed for specific learning objectives. For example, using a tablet application that provides visual flashcards and reads words aloud for vocabulary development. Adaptive aids and equipments. Tools that help students overcome physical or cognitive barriers. For example, large grip pencils, specialized keyboards, communication devices, etc. Tablets and digital smart boards. Interactive displays and personal devices that offer dynamic learning experiences, visual supports and access to a vast array of educational content. Virtual labs and digital library, providing access to stimulated experiments and extensive digital resources, offering flexible and engaging learning opportunities. Collaborative and holistic approaches, for example, collaborative teaching, two or more teachers, that is general teachers and special educators working together in the same classroom to meet the needs of all the students including children with disabilities. Inquiry based and flexible curriculum, designing curriculum that encourages curiosity, student led questions and adaptability to individual learning paces and interests. Classroom accommodations and modification, accommodations that changes to how a student learns or demonstrates knowledge without altering the curriculum contents, that is extended time or large print or reader. Modifications that changes to what a student is taught or expected to learn, that is reduced assignments, simpler content, different learning objectives, etc. Art integrated learning, using various art forms as a pedagogical tool to enhance learning across subjects. For example, creating a mural to depict historical events, helping students with intellectual disability process and remember information visually and creatively. Cross curricular pedagogical approach, connecting concepts and skill across different subjects areas to make learning more holistic and relevant. For example, linking math concepts, that is measurement, to cooking, home science or building models or science. Gentle teaching, a philosophy of care that emphasizes interdependence, respect and non-violence, building a sense of community and unconditional regard. Twice exceptional, recognizing and supporting students who are both gifted, talented or have a disability. Integrating digital educational resources, e-content guidelines for children with special needs developed by Ministry of Education, utilizing resources and recommendations from the Ministry of Education, Government of India, specifically designed for children with special needs. E-learning platforms such as Diksha, Swayam, Swayamprabha, e-Pathshala, e-PG Pathshala, etc. Assessing vast repository of digital educational content, video lectures and courses that can be adapted for students with disabilities, including a student with intellectual disabilities. By combining these foundational principles with current trends, educators can create truly inclusive, effective and enriching learning environments for students with intellectual disabilities and students with disabilities. Conclusion. In conclusion, We can say that the reality of diversity of learners cannot be denied. Every classroom today is a mix of unique needs, strengths and learning styles. This diversity is not a challenge, but an opportunity to enrich the educational experiences for all students. These approaches are not just theoretical constructs, but they are actionable frameworks that help teachers proactively to design lessons, activities and assessments that cater a wide range of learners. When these strategies are consistently applied, classroom transforms into environments where every student, regardless of their individual differences, has equal opportunity to engage, learn and experience success. There are some references here. Thank you.